Councillor Allen.
This is for a local law to sell all right and title to JPD Corporation. Is there anybody here that wanted to give us an overview?
Good afternoon, councilors. This is a portion of West Court Street that was abandoned by the council, I think earlier this year, or maybe last year, late last year. We had it appraised. The sale price is for the appraised value plus the cost of the appraisal.
Do you know if there's any plans for this already?
I think they have plans, but they haven't shared them with me.
Okay, is it possible for you to get the plans?
If they're willing to give them to me, I doubt they will. They're pretty tight to the vest with whatever plans they have for the future.
Is that normally how this goes? Because if I wanted something from you and you asked me for something, I would give you what you asked for. So does this?
I'm not sure they even have their plans fully formed yet.
Okay.
But I think that the reason that they are acquiring this is for some future development.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, wait, who's JPD Corporation?
It's the Pyramid people.
It's the what?
Is who?
Pyramid.
Pyramid of Onondaga
Pyramid
County.
people? And there's nobody here from JPD or
Yeah.
Pyramid?
So we'll see if we can reach out to them because I want to know a little more.
Yeah. I would like to know more
Is this up by the nunnery on Court Street?
This is, well, it's south of most of those parking lots, and then there's a kind of a unused area, and this is probably their southerly most property.
It's West Court, so it's over by the harbor, right?
Yes.
Right. Yep. Okay. We'll reach out to them to kind of get some more information before we go forward with this on Monday.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have item number 9, and I should know by Monday. Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Madam President, I have items 10 through 20. They're police and fire chief.
Hi, Janet Burke, the Director of Research. I'm here for item 10. This is a CFA application to do a study with the Department of State Local Government Efficiency Grant for a new training tower for the fire department. The training tower they have is very old and very antiquated, and parts of it cannot be used anymore.
And can I ask a question?
Sure.
And I know that this is all for right now, and maybe the administration can answer it for me, because I'm going to go there again. I've been going there for 8 years, and I'm talking about all of the facilities that we have located all over the county. When do we start looking at a way to consolidate all of our facilities?
Okay, I'll leave that to the Deputy Mayor.
I was looking for Sharon Owens, Deputy Mayor, City of Syracuse. Literally, we were just having a conversation about city-wide property-owned property assessment of what we own, where it is, how it's being used for either redevelopment, sale, renovation, whatever the use would be.
Because I think, because as the legislators, we're looking at money. We're always talking about money, okay? And I remember at one point, we spent $9 million or $9,000 on a paint booth for the fire. Then we spent another $9 million for a paint booth for DPW. Wait. We're doing the work together anyway.
So your point is very accurate. It's not an efficient way. So the same way we're going to hire on our fleet manager to take a look at our entire fleet and how it can better be managed, we're doing the same thing and taking a look at the ability to assess all of our buildings. It is probably a ream of paper of how many buildings we have, or lots, or properties as well.
And I appreciate that, and that's fine, because if we look at the property we have, and everybody's about, oh, the money, you know what, we bond for everything else. Build a facility, put everybody in it, and then let's move from there. Then we can reduce paying light bills over here and light bills over there and have one facility. That's just been my pet peeve for 8 years.
Completely in agreement.
Thank you.
Chief, do you want to tell us what the fire tower is for?
Well, our fire tower currently, I'm Michael Mons, the fire chief. Our current tower was built in 1940. We can no longer burn fires in there. We respond all over the city. We respond to all Onondaga County, Madison County, Oswego County. So it's a necessity that we need to upgrade our facility to continue the training and to continue responding to emergency scenes.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
I'm sorry. This is a very elementary school question, but what is the function of a fire tower?
A fire tower is a building that we can actually light fires in. We can do practical evolutions where our firefighters can get trained on how to stretch hoses, how to rescue people, how to throw ladders to the side of the building. It's you simulate a fire.
Training ground.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Any major fire department in the country, they have a facility that they can rely, and right now we don't have that. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, number 11.
Number 11 is for our fire vehicle replacement program. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? Number 12 would be for our generator repair. We're looking at replacing this emergency generator at station number 10 on Genesee Street. And item number 13 would be to bond for money for our facility rehabilitation program, which we replace roofs, windows, overhead doors for the apparatus to come in and out. The concrete out in front of the fire station needs replacing. So those are 11 through 13. Does anybody have any questions?
Right. Just one quickie, Chief. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to be Debbie whoever today. Can we get, because if I'm not mistaken.
You get the replacement list, don't you?
Yes, the replacement list right now. We're replacing one of our mini vehicles, an Astro van. That's a 2005. One of our mini vehicles is a 2009. Two of our Chevy Impalas, we're actually giving those to the school district. One of our other mini vehicles we've given to the DBW in the past. So those are the 5 that we're replacing right now.
I could send you those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
I have a question, Chief.
Yes.
You just mentioned that you respond to fires in other counties. Can you describe a situation when
Our hazmat team, they're first responders for Onondaga County, the city of Syracuse, Madison, and Oswego County. Those counties get grant money, and they actually help pay for our tools and equipment. They bought us a fire apparatus to actually respond. Some of the counselors have been over to the station to look at the setup on how we do respond. So that's what we do.
And you receive funding for that?
Through grant money, and that grant money directly assists the city with protection also. So, okay, thank you.
Now the others, there's contracts on those.
It's just all through mutual aid, New York State law agreements.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, just a quick one on 13. I didn't get a chance to look in the back of the book. Do we have that list as well? You mentioned a number of items, but 100,000 seems like a small amount.
That's kind of what we our maintenance team. I have Deputy Chief Kane here who oversees that. They manage our money very well. I think out of our capital money, we spend 99% of our capital money on time. We don't have excess money in our capital accounts, but we have a plan on what we want to spend money on, and if anything comes up, we use that money to put out fires. But basically, we're landlords of 14 buildings throughout the city that are constantly being occupied 24/7 because of our firefighters. So that money we could always use more money. I think we spend money really, really efficient, but that's what we've been getting every year, and so that's what we requested.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
For the fire tower,
Yes.
is that the kind of asset that makes training for outside organizations possible?
Yes, every fire department, every emergency responder would be able to.
So do we get revenue from that? Do we anticipate that at all?
There is possible to get a fee schedule to actually rent out some time to actually use our facility. Yes, I have some legislation that we've been working on, but it hasn't gotten to that point yet.
Okay, and then
just along with that, like it's my understanding that we more often than not get grant money from the state, because a lot of these areas there's volunteer fire departments. I mean, it would be my assumption that we get access to more grants for facilities and hazmat and things like that. Because of that, if we start collecting fees and trying to draw revenue from that, do you believe, and probably more importantly, do you believe that we will lose out on any of those grants that we have access to?
Well, I believe there's 2 points to that. One, our fire department, because of our capabilities of responding, we're on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're very highly trained. When there's an incident that happens anywhere, when other municipalities can't, maybe don't have the manpower or the resources, they're going to call for us to come help. And we always say yes because we have the capabilities, and it's just something that's always been in place. So one, we need to have that for our facility, for our firefighters to be able to respond safely and to be prepared. And two is like this grant that we had for item number 10 was we're trying to work with other fire departments, other municipalities. There's always hurdles with trying to do joint projects, but since I've been here for the last 18 months, we've been working with the county. We've been doing different things with other fire departments, we're trying our best to try to work with other departments and other emergency agencies to try to accomplish what you're talking about.
And also, Council, many applications are looking for leveraging. So if we're able to identify leveraging capability on some applications, they actually both are not there.
No, but that's my point. I understand that. We more often than not get access to state grants because we have consolidated or worked with or team
Yes.
up with other areas, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
My concern is, will we lose access to some of those grants if we start charging other municipalities that we work with?
I think
Do we anticipate that we would lose out on some of that funding because we are then now charging these groups?
I don't believe so. I think any money that we would receive would be just to go back into the facility. Like, we're not going to make a profit off of this. We're just trying to make sure our people are trained, other departments are trained, so they can properly respond to incidents that come up. I think that's the base of everything, is being able to properly train our firefighters to be able to respond and work with other departments so they can have their firefighters be trained also. Trying to make money off of something like this, that's not my goal, is to make sure that we're all working together when an incident happens, and any money that we can generate would hopefully be to go back into that or go to help us buy fire apparatus or to do other things that would make things safer for our firefighters, which would in turn make it safe for the community.
Thank you.
If I may, from a grant standpoint, I actually think that would be a great selling point for a grant. I think that you could make the case that we would be maintaining this tower, which a lot of times cities will get grants and not have the money to maintain this apparatus or maintain these things.
Okay.
I think if we could narratively make that case, that if we were to minimally charge the other areas and put it back into that to maintain it, I think that would be a really good selling point.
Thank you. That was the answer to my question.
Thank you, Chief Mons. Chief Cecil.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Number 16.
And then you skip 15.
Oh, 15, I'm sorry, the dogs.
Wait a minute, go back.
Joe Cecil, First Deputy Chief with Syracuse Police Department. So number 15 is our contract with Camillus Animal Hospital that's taking care of our canine officers' dogs, the canines themselves, for many, many years. They're very well versed with our canines as far as their food, their activity. They operate much differently than your average pet. So this veterinarian clinic, again, is our best chance of keeping these dogs in service for the longest period of time.
Okay, 16.
16 is our contract with 5-Star Occupation Medical Services. Most of the time we're using these for evaluations and exams for newly hired police officers, but we also use them for drug testing and screening for the officers or the detectives that are in our Special Investigations Division, which they're required to do once a year.
So we're not using IMA anymore?
No.
17.
17 is a gift from Syracuse University. They want to expand their camera program up there, meaning the cops' cameras on the telephone poles. This $100,000, $488, excuse me, will cover about 8 cameras and push their camera project further out into that off-campus neighborhood, primarily on Maryland, Lancaster, Ostrom, and it doesn't say on here, but I believe one's going to go on Redfield as well, Redfield Place.
Has there been outreach to the neighborhood to see if they want these?
Don't know. This is an SU project. I know we haven't done an outreach program. Whether SU has done it, I don't know.
So I believe this is the program that they initiated several years ago when they had an outreach, but we should have somebody from SU
Sure.
come and at least speak to that concern.
Sure. I can invite him on Monday if you'd like for the study. Okay, sure.
And another question, Chief, so just a question. So once the cameras go up, we're going to assume the liability for the maintenance?
Well, no, they still own those ones. So the ones that are going to be owned by Syracuse University, and I would imagine the ones that are owned by Downtown Committee, if they start to break down, and again, their life expectancy is about 5 years, I would imagine the city would not be responsible for those. No, just the ones we own. Yeah.
Okay, 18.
18 is another, we're asking to enter a contract with Axon. As you recall, I came in front of you for 57 cameras. We have to piecemeal this so they fit the grants and funding that we've received. This one is to ask for 113 body cams to add to the 57 to bring us up to 170. This one is 113 is paid for by a specific grant that we received. Keep in mind, it's a 5-year contract. Axon only goes with a 5-year contract. So when I say it's paid for, it is paid for the first year. We have grants and funding that will probably take us into year 2, perhaps not the full year, but when year 3 rolls around for this body cam program, the grants and funding will be out unless we've achieved other grants and funding, and we will have to begin to support that.
So this would bring us up, you said, to 113 total?
170.
I'm sorry, we're purchasing 113, so 170 total?
Yes.
And target is what?
The target to implement?
Target to implement.
Target implement, once the contract is about ready to be signed, I'm told it's going to be signed within 2 days, 2 or 3 days. We're talking fall. It could be sooner than that before they implement these. Keep in mind, it doesn't mean that the 110 officers we currently have with body cams, they're going to still have them right up until this transition occurs.
Yeah, how many are you looking to equip?
We're looking to, as I mentioned before in front of you, we're looking to do 220. Okay, so this brings us to 170. This funding here, we're looking for another grant to add another 50. We do not have that grant currently, so we haven't added that 50. It's really not bad that we don't have it yet because 34 of those 50 would be the officers that are in the academy. So what you're talking about is having some very expensive equipment sitting idle until they're out of the academy and probably off FTO as well. So it's not a bad thing that we haven't achieved this extra 50 yet. The 170 will more than cover. Well, it'll all go to uniform patrol, but it won't cover every single uniform patrol officer, and certainly not when the officers exit the academy and go on their own.
Okay, and the not on the purchase of this, but on the policy, the body cam policy. I've been asked to have a committee meeting at some point on that.
Okay.
Are we moving along with that, or?
Sure, we have amended several items based on various things we've heard, conversations, and one of the biggest ones we've changed, and I don't want to get, it's really not technical, but it gets a little confusing. When you turn the body cam on, it doesn't mean it's recording, except that it's recording 30 seconds buffering. So in any event, with the incident that we had on Gray Street, and the officer that didn't have it on or was turning it on, we've changed the policy so that it is constantly on and buffering, so that you just have to tap it twice and then it begins to record. It's never fully turned down during that entire shift.
During the entire shift, so you get in your car, you bang it on, and it's actually there. You just got to tap it to get it to record.
That's correct. So it's never powered down. So keep in mind it's continually buffering. So it's never powered down, continually buffering. So as soon as you tap it, it not only begins to record, but it has already recorded and captured 30 seconds prior to whatever, prior to that tap.
And the batteries hold up on this?
Batteries will hold up, yes. The batteries would probably not hold up if it was recording for the full 8 hours of a shift, but powered on, it can handle 8 to 12 hours that way.
So now, Chief, you had mentioned that towards the end of year 2, we're going to be out of the grants that we know that we have access to. What do we believe, let's say year 3, what's the annual cost going to be?
So the annual cost and this is based on 170, not 220.
Yeah.
So Year one, and I'll just start with year one. Year one's $452,550 for 170 cameras. Year two goes down to, in year 2, 3, 4, and 5 are identical. So year two, it goes down to $303,460. And it stays identical for the entire, until the 5-year runs out.
Okay.
Yep. And again, that's for 170, not for
Can
220.
I piggy on you, Counselor? Because that's what I was thinking. So after year 2, is that going to come out of the police budget?
It's going to come out of someone's budget. My guess it would be the police budget. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. 19?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
When did you have your committee meeting set for?
Oh, I don't yet, but I've been asked to set one up, and I will set one up at some time.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
19 is our
I should say specifically for the body cams.
Right.
19 is our contract with Lewis Uniform, United Uniform, and Charney Shop for the $500 card that every officer and detective receives in order to buy equipment and uniforms, and if they're plain clothes, to buy things from Charney's for their work.
And the tires.
And the tire one is just a contract for these tires, specific tires that go on these Dodge Chargers. And we're contracting out for these specific tires.
Another one. I have another one, quick one.
Yeah.
How many of those do we have left? Because I know you went back to the Fords, right?
Yes.
So how many Chargers are we still working with?
Yeah, I don't know. I can get you the answer to that. It's a good question. I don't know how many more Chargers we have left.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Councilor Rudd.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 21 through 24. 21 is the Pitney Bowes contract that we held last time because we were going to see how much it costs to purchase. And I'm going to give my little summary. So like the 4-year lease, we'd be paying a little under $62,000. And the 4-year purchase, it seems like we'd be paying about $50,000. So we're paying like 23% more for the lease and whatever value comes of that. But like the purchase price includes a service contract. The only question we really have is like whether the service between the two scenarios is exactly the same. And that part's not really clear. So 23% more, do we want to hold it again and learn exactly what the difference between the contract would be if we're getting much for it, if we want to jump through the
Why don't you see if they can get it to us by Monday?
Okay, we could.
Yeah, I'll follow up. I'm uncertain we can get that level of detail by Monday, but we have time on the lease, so you can hold it if
Okay, so
necessary. Right.
We'll just see what we have on Monday and we'll
Right.
make a decision then.
Sure.
So tentatively hold. 22 is the downtown committee's, the special assessment that we put in the budget. America's here. If there's any questions, we had a full presentation during the budget process. So are there any questions? No? Thank you for coming out. I'll call that ready.
Like the chess tables.
Oh, jeez. You know how
chess fan.
You know how to play chess, or you just like watching it?
Just like watching it.
Me
More of a
too.
checkers guy.
Me too. 23.
Councilors, Dave Delvecchio, Commissioner of Finance. Item 23, an RFP committee met, selected Bonadeo to be the auditor for the next 4 fiscal years. Price actually went down from the prior contract. Local firm. We had a total of 3 proposals, and the other 2 were from outside the area.
And did not meet the MWBE requirement.
Correct. And this firm, they've been conducting the audit for many years, familiar with the city. Offices in the city. So, yes. Okay. Thank you.
24.
Hello again. This is a correction of an oiling charge. The original charge was based on improper front footage on the street, so we've corrected that.
I don't have any other questions. Anybody else? No. Okay, ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Green, I was just looking at this soup coat, because that's who that's going to get it.
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so item 25.
Hi. First of all, I apologize that I did not send you a copy of this letter. It was an oversight, and the council should have been made aware that this was happening. We have not made any decisions. This is for just infrastructure, for streets, sidewalks, water, anything that landscaping, just for the area between the 400 block of Salina and Cortland Ave. Cortland. So we would be happy to keep you abreast of it. We haven't, nobody's really sat down. We've just started the application.
Could you just give a list again of what things it would be?
Sidewalks, roads, water. I think they're going to put food. The plan is to put fiber in, the dig once type of thing. Landscaping, just to beautify the area, and down by the STEAM school and past that.
So for the reading, could you forward the information you have to us so over the holiday we can read it?
You absolutely. We haven't really written much, but you can. First, I'll send you the grant notice that you can see what's available, and then as we go on, we'll keep you up to date on what we come up with. And if you have any suggestions, we'd certainly be happy to hear it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think just because it requires a match of up to $2 million, so it's obviously significant.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. $26.
Good afternoon, councilors. Lori Ayako, DPW Fiscal Officer. 26 and 27, I'm just asking for the last of 2 extensions for Bergman Associates and CNS for our traffic studies.
Could you just give us a brief overview of what the study pertains to?
It depends on what transportation needs, whether it's someone calling saying they want a stop sign or a red light at a corner. We would have to do a study to see if that would be able to be done.
Okay, so it's any type of number of questions that constituents have regarding traffic studies and traffic things.
Or if there's some road work we're doing, we want to switch a road from a one-way, two-way, or however that works, we would call them.
Engineering work. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Item 28.
Good afternoon, councilors. I'm Rebecca Klosner from City Planning. I'm here on behalf of DPW. Item 28 is a request for a standardized purchase of LED lighting materials and controls for the city ice rinks. This would allow us to put the same system into Meacham Ice Rink as we used last year, into Sunnycrest Ice Rink as we already used last year in Meacham Ice Rink. That helps us with consistency, so for the staff who's going to be controlling the lighting. It also speeds the procurement time so that we can get these materials in hand and our electricians can get them installed this summer while the rink is still de-iced. It will reduce the amount and the variety of inventory that we have to keep on hand in the future by having the same system in both rinks. Questions?
Is this a new system? Was it LED before, or are you replacing old lighting with LED systems now?
Old lighting before. We're replacing it with LED.
Just as on a macro level, how far are we through our city facilities in terms of, like, how much more is there to go in terms of transferring other facilities to LEDs?
Sunnycrest Ice Rink is our last building, so we have finished everything else. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item 29 is confirming an appointment to the Okra Board. Anyone has any questions on that? Item 30 is a waiver of competitive bid.
This is a waiver of competitive bid for us to be able to use Cal Harbor, which is a proprietary vendor from Ennis Flint where we buy our materials, to do Durtherm crosswalks, which is usually up at SU.
Any questions? Thank you.
But can I just throw this out here while you two are standing there? I'm coming back about that doggone Shiner Street path. I'm getting sick of hearing about it. There's a wire down over there, and it's an electrical wire laying right in the trees. And yep, they find me to complain about that path. I'm sick of that path.
You're talking about the Shauna Street path?
The Shauna Street cut, yes.
I'll look into that for you.
Thank you, because they showed.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Carney.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 31 through 36.
Good afternoon, Julie Lefebvre, Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. Item 31 is to enter into an agreement for background checks for any of our staff who are working with our vulnerable populations. Item number 32 is to enter into agreement with the Boys and Girls Club. This is a new item. In order for us to pull our staff, we would have an agreement with Boys and Girls Club so that they could increase their teen programming and provide additional life skills for the teens entering their programming.
Great, thank you. Is this the same thing that we talked about during the budget?
Yes.
So we're pulling our park staff.
We're pulling our staff. We've actually, effective July 1, we pulled our staff from there so that they can work more in our community centers as we get ready to open Westmoreland, and also just concentrate on our own centers. But we don't want to cripple Boys and Girls Club so that they can continue to offer programming and actually hopefully strengthen some of their programming.
And are we giving them each 75 or 25?
This one is just for Boys and Girls Club as a whole. So it's 75 to the Boys and Girls Club.
And it's only for this year. We're not going to have to do this next year, correct?
This is, we would try to budget it in every year, but this is just a one-year agreement.
It's just for this year, but they're going to come back and ask for it.
Right, because the
Expected
Boys
every
and
year.
Girls Club is a national organization. We shouldn't be funding them $75,000 every year.
It's a long-established relationship that the city has been working with them, so we didn't want to cut that off. We wanted to continue to still support them, but we also want to concentrate on our own funding, so that's where this came from.
This agreement is a one-year agreement.
Say that again?
This is a one-year agreement.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm okay with the 1 year, but I don't want this next year for them to keep coming back expecting us to continue to support them when they're
So
a
again,
national organization.
so as we looked at this really was in reaction to the very hard summer we had last year around our teen. So we looked at our partners to see who we could begin to develop some team programming for. This agreement is a one-year agreement. Okay. Now, the council should be aware that the other partner that we presented in the budget has decided not to enter into this agreement. They have worked with the Parks Department to come up with another staffing arrangement with the staff at Southwest currently. So we will be coming back to the council to ask that money to be reallocated into the parks budget for the parks to build up its own programming and staffing and to enhance team programming. Okay.
Any other questions on that item? Item number 33 is to extend the agreement that we currently have with Parks and Recreation for the end of this current calendar year while we transition still from DeWitt Animal Hospital.
How's all that going? I know there was some challenges. Were there challenges early on? I thought that was...
There are still challenges, but we're working through it together with them. Normally this would go out for RFP, but we felt because they're still making a lot of changes in good faith to work with us to become, and they are, our full-time animal shelter. So that's why we want to extend the contract until the end of the year.
Okay. You want me asking what the challenges were?
They didn't have the full size that we needed for the capacity of dogs that we have. So they've been constantly doing construction and building out so that they can house at full time. They will be able to take 40 of our dogs.
And what's the price comparison to what we're getting with them as to what we got with DeWitt?
There's a small increase in the daily boarding fee, but everything is pretty the rest is pretty comparable.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 34, I'm going to ask somebody else to come up for that one.
Good afternoon, Councilor. Steve Harris, City Arborist. I can speak to one part of the grant that we're applying for with Fish and Wildlife Service, and that is for creek riparian buffer. for up to $1 million. The riparian buffer is that slope between the creek walk and the creek. The goal of the grant is, for one, to be able to see the water. Two is to keep nature between the creek and the water, and to enhance it with tree planting where we've removed, to keep visibility the way we want it, and then to keep nature out of the creek walk itself. If you walk the creek, and if you knew about plants, you can see with all the disturbance, that area wants to convert to a whole bunch of plants that none of us want, whether it's poison ivy or thorny black locust or knotweed. And these are all the plants that are going to block our views, make the place seem unmanaged, and we want this to be a destination part of the creek walk. Our goal is to focus on the areas from the MLK Boulevard stretch between Midland and South Ave, from Midland all the way down to Kirk Park. We will do enhancements, planting enhancements, and vegetation management all along the new stretch, though. We'll do what we can with this grant. I can't speak to the other parts of it if anyone has questions about those. But Russ Haupt can. Any questions?
The only thing I want to ask you is, so are we not at this point this year going to do the launch from Seneca?
That is Russ Haupt question.
Russell Haupt with the Department of Engineering. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So this year, are we not going to do the launch from Seneca Turnpike?
Actually, that's an Owen Kearney question.
The whole team here today, Councilors. Owen Kearney with City Planning. We've submitted permits. This is in reference to the local waterfront revitalization grant right there at Seneca Turnpike and Onondaga Creek. We've completed the preliminary designs. We've submitted our initial permits to New York State and the Army Corps of Engineers. So we're working with them to get this project permitted and built. It's fully funded, the construction is. So whether that happens later this year or early next is largely dependent on our coordination with them.
Okay, thank you.
So that is separate from, related, but separate from what's the item before
I
you.
haven't been hearing a lot about that, so I just want that.
We are working on it.
Okay.
Thanks, councilors.
Also, one more team member. I had the pleasure of doing the tour that Russell organized last Saturday. Yes. Phase 2 of the Creek Walk is going to be absolutely beautiful. And so we will be working. I want to, publicly thank Russell and that entire team. I was at Southwest Community Center when we began the community engagement regarding that phase of the Creek Walk. He listened to every concern, he listened to every idea, and it is going to be absolutely magnificent.
Thank you, Chair Owens. Thank you.
Okay.
I can't follow that.
Just move the bar up a little.
So the other components on this grant are the two related to kayak and canoe use of the creek. We're looking at adding a kayak canoe launch at Kirk Park, right next to the platform we're putting in for the Creek Walk. So that part would come from the grant money, it would not come from Creek Walk money. And then further downstream, at just north of Spencer Street, there is a county sewer structure which impedes the creek for small watercraft. We're working with the county right now. We're trying to figure out a way to get watercraft over that safely and around that. So we're looking for some grant money there.
Did you guys get the snake?
I'm sorry?
Did you get the snake?
I didn't see a snake.
That was a big snake.
It was out in the county, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
the county's problem with snake.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, yep, no problem.
Yeah, I got it over at my house. I caught it. It's my new pet.
Item 35 and 36 are just to authorize payment for musical performances throughout the year at our senior center. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Those are my items. They're all ready.
Thank you. Councilor Lovejoy Grinnell.
Thank you, Madam President. Dave, can you address this issue?
Yes, just to give you background on the revenue anticipation note, for the city and the school, we will issue these notes. This particular legislation is for the school district. It will be repaid by June of 2020. Earlier, I'll let Julie speak to to those details. I want to point out, before the meeting, Councilor Rudd asked me to review the request from last year. School district requested not to exceed $35 million. Actual amount was about $32 million. Consistent with what we do, the request today is for $40 million, not to exceed $40 million. However, as we get closer to the borrowing, we will ask them to refine the cash flows, and so if we do not need to borrow 40, we don't. So I just want to point that out, and if there's any questions, and Julie can sure answer.
Absolutely.
Is 40 a function of the whole budget? So because the budget went up so much, that's why the request is for?
Correct. So in order to cash flow the financing for the current year budget, we'll need not to exceed $40 million. The current estimate is about $37 million based on where our cash flow stands now. And as Commissioner Del Vecchio indicated, we'll refine that as we get closer to the actual date of the borrowing. We want to minimize that borrowing as much as possible. We also will strive again this year to pay the RAND back in March as opposed to June, which will minimize our interest costs associated with the borrowing as well.
I don't have any other questions. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Allen.
Thank you. I have items 38 through 63.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Ken Talsey, Director of Code Enforcement. Item 38 is to extend our contract with 7 demolition contractors for till the end of October of this year.
Okay. Was this for the blight, or this was just for?
This is for our normal demolitions of the $500,000 that we get in our budget every year.
Okay. And then you guys are just extending it to October?
Correct, and we're starting the process for the RFQs to have a new contract by the end of October.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
All right, item 39.
Good afternoon, councilors. Yolanda Johnson, Construction Development Coordinator. I have Housing Visions. They're asking for permission for an existing retaining wall, stormwater trench drain, and asphalt driveway to encroach 38 feet into the right-of-way at Grassman and Butternut Street.
This is that the huge building that they're building
Yes.
up there, and it has
The Butternut Crossing, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. I also have item number 40. Maguire Dealership is requesting permission for 3 concrete vehicle pads used for vehicle advertising to encroach 24 feet into the right-of-way on State Fair Boulevard right-of-way. Any questions?
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I don't think they sent one over, did they?
All set?
No. Did they send you an image?
There should be an image in the packet. If not, I can get one to you.
Okay. If you don't mind, can you just forward it over?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You have 41 as well? Or
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, I don't see it.
Good afternoon, councilors.
Hello.
Hi. I have item 41. It's a special permit for a restaurant on East Fayette Street.
So they did send an image over for this one. So are they adding on to this building, or they're going to tear it down and rebuild?
No, there's 2 existing buildings there, and they're opening a restaurant within that building. There was a re-subdivision companion piece to combine the 2 properties because they had parking on one that was not legal. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's right on the. Okay, thank you. And you have 42 as well?
Item 42 is a petition to change the zoning to a planned development district. This is over Erie Boulevard, Tracy, Richmond. There is an existing planned development district that was United Auto, and now it's City Electric, just further to the east. And so this is combining a mishmash of different zoning districts, the majority of it being industrial, a small portion of business A, and one small residential lot to the east.
Yeah, but they're taking that one out, right?
I'm sorry, to the west. What's that?
The residential, because I watched them pull the wires and board it up. So are they taking that down and the entire company buying it?
I think the one that they're incorporating is already a vacant lot. There might be a house next to that, but I'm pretty sure this is a vacant lot. I can double check that for you.
And this is for what?
This is for a warehouse with parking and loading, warehouse and small office for United Auto Supply. They have outgrown their warehouse, and they keep expanding, and they need
This is where the land, or the metal dump was before, most of it? Is this just beyond the Hess? Or is this for the...
Yes, where the Roth
Steel.
Yes, exactly. Hmm. Not the raw steel by the lake, but
Right,
the other raw.
the other raw steel.
Mhm. And there is a companion district plan that goes with this that sets the parameters for development, so it's a controlled development, and that'll probably be on your next agenda, I'm assuming.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. And now 43 through 62.
Afternoon, councilors. Michelle Spansky, Housing and Neighborhood Planning Coordinator with Neighborhood and Business Development.
So for the most of, these are all new besides 43, correct?
I believe so. We do request to withdraw item 52 as they have redeemed.
Okay.
Victoria, can you hold 46 for me?
Hold 46. Okay, and I'll go in order. So I'll start 43. I wanted to actually talk about 43. Is Jeremy still here? Yeah, Commissioner. So yesterday, I don't know if you guys got my email. This is the vacant lot, and it's right next door to my house, actually. And I guess Ballard Construction, they're doing the sidewalk. The sidewalk was condemned.
Yeah, I sent you a response on it.
Okay, so they're taking up, they're doing the sidewalk. But is there any protocol, like how does this work when they come out? Because they're, the lot that they're on, the neighbors' cars are parked there. They didn't like knock on the door, send a notice, anything. Like they literally just came in and started tearing up the sidewalk. So how does that normally work, or how was it supposed to work?
So I checked in with that, and normally when we do a sidewalk or a parcel, we notify the owner of the parcel. In this case, it's us.
Right.
So we normally don't go out to the neighborhoods and warn them that we're doing construction, but
Because they're not supposed to be there.
Because you kind of should, though, because like we have a fence in front of our house.
Okay.
And so they felt the need to make our fence their construction site. It's summertime. I have kids go out and play. We don't need construction tools like laying up against our fence. So I just feel like if they're going to do it, at least if there's homes right next door, they should at least, it could have just been a courtesy knock.
You're right.
Like, hey, can you move your car?
we're working with Ballard now and
simple as
other
that.
contractors right now to make
Okay.
sure that we be transparent with the neighborhood. So I wrote that in the email. So.
Okay, and they did, there's a few, 3 or 4, I took a picture of it too, 3 or 4 scrape, like dents that they made in the street. So I don't know who's gonna be responsible for that, you guys or them now, but
It's gonna
probably.
be them if they did it.
Right, so I'll send you a picture of that as well. But I
Okay.
just wanted to be clear on what the protocol was, because I just felt like we weren't aware of what was going on, we didn't even know, and then they kind of blocked half of the
You're right.
driveway. Yeah. All right, thank you. I'm still holding 43, because this is one of the ones that I don't want to see as just a vacant lot for years to come. So we can move on to 44. I'm going to hold that. Item 45.
I have some questions about 45.
Okay.
I talked to this owner about 2 weeks ago. This NBD notes here does not reflect the conversation that it's definitely told me that someone had with this person. Do you have another update?
This is the most recent that I have in my end, but I can double check and make sure that there hasn't been any.
Okay, because I think this person, I thought this was going to be held,
okay,
or withdrawn on the basis of a plan.
Okay.
And you said you were holding 46.
I'm trying to see.
So
which
you
one
want to
it-
hold 45?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, 46 is held, 47, 48, 49, and 50 hold. 51,
Yep.
Counselor Driscoll.
Yeah, my understanding that's a vacant lot.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that's relative to the Stickley project?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's ready.
Yeah, I call it right.
52 is going to be withdrawn. 53.
The dollar amount of 53 seems really low. Is this one of those houses the land bank just wants to get so they could sell it?
I believe that's what we have on our records. I'll double check and confirm.
I think I would want to hear more about 53 than just letters sent, since they were already attempted to be seized before but paid in the past. So can there just be more?
Yeah, I'll hold that one.
All right, 54, 55, I'm going to hold those until I can find out more. 56 and 57, Counselor Driscoll.
Just looking now. Yeah, again, I would probably hold 56 until we have a little more information. I'll try to track that down before Monday.
Does anybody have 57 on theirs?
I think 57 might have got left off the sheet. I will get back to you with that on.
So you can send us some information on that one. All right, so I'll hold 57.
57 as well.
All right, and Counselor Carney, 58, 59, and 60.
Those are all ready.
Ready? And 61, Counselor Driscoll.
I'll hold it for now.
No,
I'll investigate that.
61?
That's Bryn.
61 is the third. That's right.
No,
it's not.
no.
No, that's up in Eastwood.
Nichols Ave, it's in the 5th.
It says North Valley on it.
Oh, okay.
All right, and 62, I'll hold. Thank you.
Thank you.
And item 63 is a resolution to recognize Ms. Donna Reese for her unwavering dedication to the city of Syracuse and for her decades of community and disability rights activism. So she will be here on Monday as well with some of her friends and family members. So did anybody want to sign on for this resolution?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All righty, Counselor Bay. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I have item number 64. Ms. Burke.
Hi, Counselor. This is for the most to send in a CFA application. They need to have a formal resolution in order to be able to do that. And apparently, I just received notification that where it says that they're going to Visit Syracuse is going to use the renovated space that's currently in the discussion process that has not been finalized. So I will get the city clerk another letter.
Question?
No, I just have one quickie because I know that there's a plan through SMTC to do something different with that area of the most.
Okay.
Have we talked about that with them on what they want?
You know what, we have not, but they could be available on Monday at noon, the people from the most, to answer any questions that you may have.
But I don't think it's the most, I think it's SMTC.
Okay, then that I don't have that answer.
Because I'm just wondering if we're working together on this because they're going to do a lot of changes down there.
Sure, I can certainly ask them.
Okay.
Okay.
More questions? Call it ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Have a great 4th of July.